What's been the most difficult thing you've ever had to overcome?
The most difficult thing I've ever had to overcome. You know, I think I'm still overcoming the death of my teacher. You know, it's only been a month. That's one of the things, just because she gave me so much intellectually and educationally and just as a person that I feel like I wish I would have not given back to her, because of course I think in an accidental way you always give back to somebody. But I think I wish I would have. That's one of the first times that I regret not being stronger in my faith to share my faith with that person, because it is something that is very important to me, and because I am very, I guess, dogmatic in what I believe and what I see the end of all this is. Knowing that she didn't agree with that, and knowing that I didn't do my part in sharing that with her, I think that's going to be hard for me. I think that's one of those moments where when she passed, we knew she had the illness, and we knew that she was suffering and battling with it. But it's one of those things. It's hard. The balance that I think I'm trying to learn right now is sharing but not offending, but understanding that what I have to share can be offensive to somebody in a certain way, but understanding that I'm doing it out of love, but make sure I'm doing it out of love. You know, it's a balance right now. But I think that's still something I'm trying to overcome, of somebody who I really looked up to, and I really had a deep love and respect for. And if I loved them, why didn't I share? And I think that's something that's gonna. I don't allow a lot of my negative stuff to be shown. I try my best to stay upbeat, and a lot of times, and even I don't deal with some things just because I feel like if it's gonna hold me back from just moving forward, that when it's time to deal with it, it will be dealt with. But I think that's one of those things that's gonna eat me up for a while, and I hope propels me into really sharing. You know, because I had a victory in that earlier this year, sharing with my girlfriend and leading her to Christ, and that felt empowering and amazing. But then on the same spectrum in this year, I lose somebody that I could have had the opportunity to, because me and her sat down and we had just real conversations, aside from scripts and aside from scenes and aside from, you know, the Scottish play and all that stuff. We had just real conversations. And the fact that I never brought that up, you know, that's gonna affect me for a while.
If you could travel back in time to your 10-year-old self, what advice would you give yourself?
Have confidence in your shot. I was one of the least confident players on the basketball court growing up, and I feel that at a young age, if I would have had more confidence in it, I could have gone further with it. I feel like I could have at least played in some junior college, or I could have had the confidence to keep going. But confidence in me have recently got along within the past 3-4 years. So I feel that if it would have started everything, you know, you learn at a young age. It's easy to learn a piano at a young age. It's easy to learn these, you know, it's easy to learn at a younger age, and you start to develop habits. I feel like if I would have had confidence in my shot, or if worked harder on my dribble, I think that's one of the things that I look back in life and man, I wish I would have worked harder on my game in basketball, and I wish I would have read more books. I'm not much of a reader, but now being older, that's something I'm trying to do. But of course, like I said, habits, sometimes reading can just become boring to me. So finding the joy in that, I wish I would have done that younger. Definitely reading more and more confidence in my basketball game.
All right, so last question.
Yes.
If you could ask yourself a question 30 years from now, what would that question be?
Ask a question 30 years from now, what would that be? What, how old am I? 23. So I'll be like 50 something at that time. Wow, so I'll be over the hill. So now we're looking back down now, or looking up, I guess, still. Not that you should compare ever, because everybody's walk is different. But what is different between the way your father led a family and you've led your family? Because I think my dad's somebody, of course, somebody huge I look up to. But, is there a difference? What are the similarities? Because there will be similarities. But what are the similarities? And are you not the father that your father was, but are you as positive and influential as your father was on you? Are you the same way on your children? I think that's one of the questions. Like, how are you impacting your children the way your father impacted you? For the positive. I think that's one of the things that I want to look back on and be like, you're going to be different. I'm going to be a different dad, but what are the similarities that are going to be there, and what a profound effect your father has had on you? Are you having that same profound effect? I think it goes back to that legacy. And I think at that point, not saying that I've lived my life and my life is completely like I'm done. Of course, you continue to live, but now it's really about investing in that future and their future. And are you having that profound effect on their future? Because when you leave, they're the ones that are going to continue the legacy. They're the ones that are going to continue to help the nation. They're the ones that are going to continue then to impact the future. And every building block is that way. And I think at 50, I'm going to look back and be like, well, I lived half a century. In that half a century, even with my profession, I'm dealing with kids. I'm dealing with the future every day. What have you done to impact the future? It doesn't need to be this thing that's like, I helped construct this and I helped put this system up that's gonna. It's like, just what have you done in your? I think too, so many times people lose track of the finite circles that they have, the impact that they can make. They think if they're not a senator or they're not a governor, or they're not a mayor, or they're not some political figure or some religious figure or somebody in the school system, that they can't impact. But I think the people who have had most profound impact on me are people who aren't in those organizations, who aren't part of that, who are people just across the street from me. And I think that's going to be the biggest question. With your half a century, Cal, how did you impact the future? You know what I mean? How did you impact the future? Because the past is the past, and we all have made our decisions. It's not about what did you do in the past and how far have you grown, but what have you done to impact the future? That's about it.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
It really was, man. I really do appreciate it.